Hi, everyone. So we are here together, and me and Cristiano will be presenting this talk entitled Visibility is the Key to Increase Quality in Testing. I work both with Cristiano in Xray, and we are actually part of the solution architecture and testing advocacy. So we engage a lot with customers and with the overall testing community, trying to improve practices around software development and testing overall. So let's move ahead. And I want to start by talking about, first of all, about this goal of having great products that have a great quality. And many times we don't know actually what that means. What is quality, first of all? And if we ask different people, we'll get different kinds of answers. I really like some exercise that my testing friend Dan Ashby has done around this topic, where he frames these different dimensions of quality. Correctness with the specifications, with the expectations, goodness, like the emotive feeling that we have whenever we are using our products, our software, and also value, because in the hand, it's also about the value that our products provide to the end users. So we have all these different perspectives, because, well, sometimes we hear that, oh, what is quality? Quality is value to some stakeholder, and actually that's true. We could even say that it's value for some stakeholder at a given moment in time, in a given context. If we do the same question for different people, we'll get different insights, because people value different aspects of the product. And having this in mind actually brings a challenge to the teams, because they need to embed quality whenever they are actually crafting the software. So that can also impact the speed that we deliver the releases of our software. So sometimes we think, okay, speed and quality, they can be like enemies, like two sides of the coin. But actually, I think that I not only think, my experience, and also there are some reports that show that you can really have quality at speed. But for that, you really to actually work together. And that requires that we fight inconspicuousness. But Cristiano, please tell us more. What is that?
So yeah, you're using a word that is not usually a common word that you use on a day-to-day basis. So let's look at what is inconspicuousness. So actually, inconspicuousness is coming from inconspicuous. So it's something that is not clearly visible or attracting attention. So notice that this is not the same as being invisible. It actually means that the information most of the time is there, but because it's not clearly visible or clearly reachable, you are unable to reach it. So it's a good way to start this visibility talk, because we will unveil the inconspicuousness that you can have on your processes in order to increase visibility. So let's start with a small introspection that you can do with your team. Let's look at this image and see if you review your team in this image. So let's look in more detail what's happening here. We see a dark room with a series of individuals that are all with black goggles, so really difficult to see in the black room, and they are all touching parts of of the same elephant, but for them of a different thing, and they are not communicating with each other. do you see some similarities with what you do on day to day? Because the exercise here should be, let's ask each of these individuals the same question at the end and see if they answer the same thing. And the question will be, what were you touching on that dark room? And as you can imagine, the answer will be different for everyone. And this is actually a good representation of sometimes what happens within our team, because we can see each individual be represented by a different team that are working on their piece of the process or their piece of the project of the product without talking with other teams. And then they are just passing their implementation of it to the next team without communicating, without collaborating. And this will end up starting to have miscommunication, starting to have some ping pong of features that come and go. And with this also, we can extrapolate to what happens within a team. If you have different roles within a team, this can also happen if we have the dev and the tester that are not communicating. So all of this to say that you can have some inconspicuousness on your processes if you are not sharing, if you are not communicating, and if you are not actually treating your team as one team, actually. But actually, how can we make the inconspicuous conspicuous? So the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, do you have any inconspicuous processes, tools, or elements or teams in your company? And sometimes this is the hardest thing to find out, because if you are unable to see it, unable to reach it, how do you know that you are unable to do so? So we have some questions that you can ask yourself, ask your team, that can starting to unveil what you have, what inconspicuousness you may have on your process. Things like, do you need to ask several persons to have, for instance, the overall status of your project? Is everyone in the team able to understand what is happening in testing, for instance? Or if you are using a pipeline, does everyone in your team knows what the pipeline is, or how to use it, what it means if it's red, what to do if it's red? So all of these questions are in that you may have some inconspicuousness on your process. But let me start to say that in order to fight this inconspicuousness, you must have a first layer that is the most important one of all. That is a good work environment. That means that you cannot ask anyone in your team, anyone in your company to suggest change, to be able to fail and retry and to learn if they have not an environment that allows it. If instead you are in an environment that is a blame, a corporate environment where everything that happens is just there for everyone in the company is just searching for the culprit for something that happens, it will not make anyone wanting to try any new things, because at the end of the day, if they fail, they will be pointed at. So instead of that, we need to foster an environment where everyone can share what they're doing. And remember what I say, sharing is not only successes, it's also failures. So we need to have an environment where it's healthy to share failures also, in a way that, of course, you need to have the systems built in for the failure to happen, but do not impact any critical system that you have or product or production. So this is a layer that you need to have, because it's not just, well, we need to fail and it's okay because we are a fail-safe company, but it's not there. You need to have systems in place that will allow you to do so. And when you do that, you will see that your teammates will be able to try new things, make mistakes, learn from it, make things better, increase the process, increase the overall collaboration, because at the end of the day, a team is there to make progress. And of course, this is just the first layer, because in a company, in a team, you can be in different stages of organization evolution. And what I mean by this, so let's review what we have nowadays in terms of organization. You can be in a team or in a company that is still using waterfall, so still segregated teams, still mostly using manual testing, or you can be already using agile methodology and making some more investment in automation. And now the roles, so the gap between dev and QA is not there anymore, or we hope so. Or you can also be already trying DevOps and all of that with CI/CD, continuous testing, and making that change, making that evolution because you want faster feedback, you want to invest in automation, invest in testing. Or you can even be in the future, in what we think will be the future, that is a collaborative smart working, where we will have autonomous tools that are driven by ML and AI, that will help testers doing the best work and saving time on their work. But don't think that each one of the stages of evolution will have some inconspicuousness in it. So let's look at each one in particular to see what are the inconspicuous parts on them and how can we fight those. So let's start. I'm going to jump over waterfall and straight to agile. So let's see what is agile. So agile now, we have everyone in the same team. So different roles making part of the team. They are now working in sprints. So we have sprints of usually 2 weeks where feedback is happening. We have now teams using a requirement management tool shared by everyone, where everyone can use and see what are the requirements for that sprint, what are the objectives, everything is clear. We have usually a test management tool that is there, and that usually is used by the testers. And we have also an operations team that usually is there to do the deployment. So in here, as we can see, usually what happens is we have still a gap between the operations teams and the development team. And sometimes if we still have the quality team using one test management tool on the side, we can lose some of that visibility. So ask yourself if everyone in the team knows how to see the overall result of the sprint. So what's happening when have you been able to deploy? What is deployable? What are the status of the test? So all of these questions should be easily answered by anyone in the team. If they're not, you probably have some inconspicuousness in there. So how can you fight back that inconspicuousness? One more or less easy thing to do is start sharing or using the same source of truth. That is, well, everyone is using Jira for requirements. Why not putting the test, all of the test management strategy there, and also the results, and also everything that happens outside of that linked back to the requirements in order to have requirement management in the same place where you have the requirements, testing coverage of the requirements, testing results, and with that, you will enable the team to be able to look at what's happening in my project in one concise and unified view. And you can do that with Xray actually, because Xray is embedded in Jira and will make everything testing related surface on the same place where your team works on daily basis. So this is a good tip to do. And of course, include testers in earlier in the process for them to include more and more details in what are the requirements, defining the test, linking those to the requirements, and all of that information will have a huge impact on how your team is now dealing with everything that's happening. The next stage is DevOps. And most of the time, when we talk about DevOps, everyone just creates a DevOps team. So please, there is no DevOps team. There will never be a DevOps team. DevOps is a mentality change. is something or a set of processes that you need to put in place in order to deliver it faster. If you have a DevOps team in your company, you're doing it wrong. So now that I have taken that out of my chest, let's just proceed and see what DevOps really is. So DevOps is usually characterized by the infinite loop. And infinite why? Because now the team does not deliver the deployment as a responsibility of operations, but now the team is responsible of everything that happens since deployment until production and maintaining that in production. So now the team will need to understand more about operations. So remember, Agile is all about bringing quality and development together. And now in this team, that's our development team with developers and quality, we are joining operations. So now new concepts are around, and we start talking about continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. And this continuous word is something that happens, that occurs everywhere in DevOps. So we will have continuous testing, continuous automation. So all of these keywords will start appearing. And of course, we will need a new way to show what's happening in this continuous world. And we see pipelines appearing. Pipelines are not more than just a visual interpretation of how the process is putting things since conception until production. And we have an example here that shows the different stages that we are going through until we deploy to production. Of course, testing is a really important part of it. And we have functional and non-functional tests now, not only the functional one, but now we are worried about performance, about security. There are other worries that team needs to cap with. And we have also the necessity of going left and going right. So shift left of the test, shift right, looking more of the observability kind of things. And all of this will need a huge set of tools. So now for all of those stages, we will need to have a huge set of tools. So in the big picture, everything's pretty good. So it's an evolution of Agile, and now we have all of this happening. But actually, if you remember my first iteration talking about DevOps is pipeline. So pipelines is a new concept. Continuous iteration is a new concept. So is everyone in your team aware of all of these new concepts? What do they mean? What does that change in your process? Do they have the knowledge for them to be able to understand that information and know where to reach it? For instance, everyone in your team knows what is a pipeline. Does everyone in your team know if the pipeline is red, where to look at, or what to do in order to solve them? So all of these questions are really pertinent because they are unveiling, again, some inconspicuous parts of your process. And all of this will hinder the capacity of your team to react to those things and to collaborate in order to make the process better. Even the fact to have too many tools will unveil some inconspicuousness, because sometimes we are just having to solve technical problems, but we are not addressing the way that the tool will integrate with the rest of the process and bring visibility of those results. So how can we fight that? One of the things that we can do is add upon the single source of truth. Remember, in Agile, we will join the test there, and we will join all of the management of the testing now that we have visibility over it in the same place that we have requirements. But now we can also ship in the result of the pipeline, of the test result, of the overall result of the pipeline, ship that back into the same place with Xray and Jira in the same place that you have the requirements. So now we will have the overall status of the sprint and the overall status of the pipeline that is executing tests. And now you can link a deployment that is successful or not, hopefully successful, pipeline was green, to what was deployed. And you can do those connections and understand that this pipeline has deployed this set of features, and we have this link back into that. One important thing about tools is you need to create a process of adoption of tools. One good example is creating a kind of a tech radar where you define what are the tools that your company is using and is as accepted to solve this set of challenges, and what are the process in order to accept a new tool into your company. Because every time you're adding a new tool, you must have a set of requirements like be compliant with logging, be compliant with the security guidelines that your company have, be compliant with the performance guidelines that your company have, and all of the set of standards and good practices that you must assure that every time that you put a new tool in, they must come with. So this is a good example also of that. So just resuming everything that we have saw since now. First of all, realize that you have blind spots. Try to identify those. Try to find out if you have some inaccessible processes or tools that sometimes they are not just reachable, or do you have to ask for someone about information, or you don't understand why we're doing this on your team. All of these are hints that you may have some inconspicuousness on your project, on your process, or on your company. First and foremost, and if you want everyone to help here, you need to build a safe and blameless environment where everyone can be fearless in trying to innovate, in trying to make mistakes in order to learn and make things better. Otherwise, if they are afraid of doing mistakes, they will not innovate. They will continue to do the same things, even if they are not the most optimized things that your company is doing. You need also to share the processes and results towards a well-defined goal. That means that all of the processes that you are building and the results that you are executing and getting must be aligned with a goal that is shared amongst the company, because this will give some autonomy to the persons in your team that will guide them when they need to take any result, any decision, because they will take the best decision if they know that they are walking towards that goal. So assume also that all tools are used by the team. That means that assume that everyone will have access to everything that you have. Even if it's not the truth, it will start healthy discussions about why is it not available for everyone, or why we have this process that is not accessible for everyone. So it will help you discuss that. It will help you redefine those processes and those access. And finally, anytime any new tool is considered, ask yourself if it will integrate with the solution we already have. Instead of looking at those tools only because they will solve this small technical issue, try to find out if they will fit well in your process and integrate well with your other tools, and if that result will be visible on the same place where everything else is being seen by your team. Because at the end of the day, all of this will increase visibility and in the information, the data that is available for your team in order to increase the collaboration that we have. Because now, if the team is aware that one test is not executed and we are reaching the end of the sprint, they will help in doing so. If the team is seeing that we have a red pipeline, everyone knows where to look, everyone knows what to do. So collaboration will for sure spike.
Thanks, Cristiano. I think collaboration and visibility are indeed indispensable. And there are, in my perspective, also other things to have in mind. So I want to try to make this a bit more dynamic if we can. So can you depict exactly what is in the picture? It's a box of? Okay, anyone? Chocolates. Yeah, everyone loves chocolates. Like, well, not everyone. That's a good point, actually, because that means that we don't value exactly the same thing. Remember that I start by talking about different aspects of quality. And we really need to enable some practices and some aspects in our teams in order to care for value. And visibility and collaboration are two of them. But we also need to shift our mindset and since we are here as somehow as representing a test management tool, we also need to share our mindset from a typical traditional test management kind of approach, where we just create tests after we build the features. We need to change from that mindset to a more native quality management kind of mindset. So what is that? That is about having really quality as part of the team's DNA. So it means that we are driven by the creation of value. It's about really caring about value all the time. And that really requires us to deal with different aspects of inconspicuousness that in the end will hurt the value that we deliver. And for example, talking about coverage, it's really important to really uncover whether the things that we are working on, if they are covered by any kind of test whatsoever. So we should have some I would say efficient traceability in place to really track whether our user stories, our features, if they are covered by tests. And even if you are, let's say, adopting a sort of agile practice where we have stories and epics, or even if we adopt safe and or other more scaled agile kind of frameworks where we have different layers of let's say requirements is not really a good word in agile context, but if you have these different layers of value, and if you want to track what is the status of each user story or each feature at these different levels, we should have a way to easily provide this like in real time, so we don't have to do like a complex report in order to track how is value impacted at a given level. But traceability is also important, and I'm talking about coverage because it's all connected. We need to know whenever someone depicts an error, we need to be able to know, okay, this was found in version 1 of the release that we are targeting. In revision 543 of the code, and not only that, but we need only to figure out in which environment. And then we need to be able to track the impacts. And many times we forget about the impacts. What does it mean whenever a test fails, whenever the defect is reported? We don't just want to have there like the results or the defects created without having the linkage to the actual impacts. So we should be able to track the fact that we have this defect, what is the user story, the feature, or some other higher level kind of requirement, if we have those, how it is impacting them. And this should also be provided. We should have this kind of visibility in our automated way. We shouldn't struggle to have this information in real time. But coverage is also important because sometimes we miss testing. It happens all the time. We see that all of the time. We are pressured we have many features being worked on in parallel by the team, and sometimes we don't know exactly what was tested or what kind of tests were done. And we should be able to track that. We should be able to assess, let's say, risk from different perspectives. So sometimes we talk about risk-based testing, or we look at the story, we figure out different aspects that are more important than other ones. And if we have, for example, different test cases with different kind of risks assigned to them, we should be able to make this kind of analysis, or even analyze risk from a whole project perspective, take into account the results that comes from testing, because it's all connected. I want to talk also about another aspect, and it's about autonomy. And being agile, it's about being able to adapt, to learn, and be able to choose whatever tool chains, and Cristiano mentioned that we should be able to use different tools, but they should be able to integrate with one another. So there is a recent study, I think it's from October, from GitHub, that talks a bit about these aspects of toolings, of tools, and they are on average, I think the teams are using something like 7 tools at the same time. It's not just about the tools, it's about the value that these tools provide for the context of the team. So we need to have this kind of autonomy to choose whatever tools we fit our context, and including for CI/CD and test automation for sure. We don't want to be dictating those if we are dictating something that doesn't match the team needs. And we really need to have this kind of safe environment. And Cristiano mentioned that, a safe environment where we need to do experiments. And experiments are key to uncover new ways of doing things, uncover problems. We need to be able to continuously learn. And this also touches the last point that we see there, learning. We should have this kind of foster environment that provides what I call continuous learning, where we can actually improve skills and our understanding about the things that we are building. And we should strive for having this kind of fast feedback loops that comes, of course, from test automation. Okay, but it's not only test automation. I'm not sure if you saw my t-shirt. It's brand new. We just printed it today. It says Xray exploratory tester. So this is also about, and this is part of the autonomy of choosing different practices, different testing approaches. It's about combining automation with the human to provide better value. And we learn we learn also, of course, with the results that come from automation, but we learn also with the experiments and with the exploratory tests that we do. Okay, now I want to really tell you to actually not a secret, but actually that you can try it out in our teams, because we actually have done so. And these experiments are about visibility and collaboration, but all these things are a bit kind of connected. Starting with the first one, it's an exercise that I learned from Rob Meany. Rob Meany is a frequent speaker on testing conferences, and it's a very simple, cool team exercise, and it basically requires that you have a cardboard as a tool. So it's about having the test depth visible. Okay, we are talking about visibility, and one of the aspects for sure you have heard about technical depth, but there's also test depth, the test that we should be doing, but that for some reason we are not doing so. So how does this work out? Basically, we have the testing, the things that making testing either impossible, or that making testing slow, or that are complex to test, or that make tests untrustworthy. So we split this cardboard in 4 quadrants, and as a team exercise, each one of the team members start figuring out concrete things that are contributing to that specific test depth, like problems in the environments, or like things like that. And you start putting that in post-its, and then you discuss that as a team. And whenever you do that, you start uncovering things. But because the problems that each one of us face within the team, sometimes it also is affecting like a different team member. And it's not just about having things that affect testers or things that affect developers, because it's all connected. for example, we had a Docker environment. Well, Docker environment that we use for testing, for building our different testing, let's say, environments that we need to test our app against the different combinations of Jira, databases, and things like that. So that was being used by the developers themselves to deploy things there and to do some experiments while they were developing. But it was really, that was also necessary. It also is also necessary for testers. So things are connected. After we put these issues that impact the testing that we should be doing, that for some reason we are not doing, we can start figuring out ways of addressing them, and then we can actually put them in, if you want, or either in a board or even a trouble board if you want to use a tool for that. That's what we use internally, and start prioritizing them and addressing them. Another, let's say, completely different kind of exercise is about rethinking the way that you work, that we work, and moving this shift from working to collaboration. And this is important. So this touches both collaboration but also visibility, because once again, it's all connected. We need to really uncover unknown risks. We need to uncover and to make knowledge shareable in order to have this shared understanding in the team, so we can make things better and more efficiently. So to give you an idea, before we start with this experiment in one of the teams, the developers were doing the code for a certain feature. They were then pushing the code, to the source code system. Then there will be like a pull request. Someone will be reviewing the pull request. Things will be tested by testers. Well, this was a bit kind of waterfall, to be honest. This was not really true agile. So, and there was many ping-pong between our iterations, many things that were unclear because people were not really collaborating enough. So how could we address this? So we tried two different approaches. Moving from that kind of way of working to a more collaborative way of working, we tried pair programming and ensemble or mob programming. Probably you know that in that way, where you have a set of team members working the same feature at the same time. And we found out that both, actually, these two different approaches, they have pros and cons, and you can have them at the same time. And it worked that these two different approaches, pair programming and ensemble or mob programming, can work at the same time. So for example, pair programming is great for whenever you have a more junior member, you can have that team member being somehow mentored by a more senior member. And mob or ensemble programming works great for sharing the understanding of a bunch of team members at the same time. And you can bring the testers to those sessions, and they will raise concerns and they give ideas right from the start. So what happened is that the features would be implicitly tested while they were being built. So uncovering also these different ways of working, making also some problems more visible and address them while we are shifting, while making the software. So moving ahead, we may have this set of different inconspicuous challenges that somehow are affecting visibility, and in the end they are affecting quality and the value that we provide, and also the speed that we provide. So we really need to work better as a team. We really need to foster visibility around all the things that we do, about the processes, the tools. We should have visibility about the testing results, of course. We should also have more collaboration. And visibility and collaboration, they are highly connected. If you have more visibility, you can act on things. For example, if you are looking at the user story, if you see the test there, if you see test failing there, that will start triggering, like in people that are looking at it, it's like inviting them for asking questions and try to collaborate on solving the problems. And collaboration is key to improve efficiency. And collaboration is also key to improve understanding. And understanding is really key to reduce problems, bugs. In the end, we can work towards have greater quality, increase value, and release more often. And there are like two aspects to have in mind. We have like people at the center of all of this. People are really crucial because people are the ones driving the whole ship. But also, it's not just about people, it's about having people augmented by tools, and having tools that foster collaboration, that foster visibility, and that provide real-time insights so people can act upon. So in Xray, we try to build our test management product in a way that it fosters these different aspects, that it fosters collaboration. And whenever people want to have this kind of separation between developers and testers, we really struggle with that, because we don't want to have this kind of silos, because silos, we know that silos are not really good to make good software.
And good thing about you're just talking about tools, and actually nowadays the tools are more than just technical tools. They are actually socio-technical tools that will define not only, that will help you, of course, solving the technical issues that you may have, but also define how they will interact with humans, because they will now have this other value, that is, how will this tool help me by resolving my technical problem also interact? So how will I show this result to who will interpret them, or how it will integrate within the other things? And like Sergio was saying, Xray is actually here as part of an integration that you can actually take and increase visibility, because we are all about integrations. It's a tool that will integrate, well, it's embedded in Jira, and will integrate with a series of automation tools, with a series of automation frameworks and everything. So it will adapt to your needs and will adapt to your process, showcasing and increasing visibility so that it will adapt to your process, bringing the most value and the most visibility into what your team and your company most values. Because if we work all together, and I'm not talking about humans alone, if we work all together, so teams, companies, tools, frameworks, everyone working together, we will never be alone. That's it from us. If you have any question, any doubt that you have not put in the chat, we will be available. So we're going straight to our booth. If you want to come with us, we will be there interacting with you guys. Yeah, and we are here if you think it's we are next to another. We are rushing to our booth. So if you have any doubts, any questions about this session, join us there, and we will be there answering anything that you may need.
There's a question. Let's see if we have time to answer it. how do you suggest we start testing for our already developed apps? And for new projects, which is best way to move forward, test-driven development or do testing after development? Well, maybe start with the last one. I was never, let's say, in a scenario where the teams were adopting test-driven development. I only tried it by myself, not really within a team. I would say that if you can do that, then that would be great. But as was mentioned minutes ago, involving testers in all the on all the activities, having the testers together with the developers, you will uncover many risks from the start. Another question that quickly came is about the test depth quadrant with the 4 quadrants. So what I will do here is actually share my blog, because I have written something about it. So it's a better way to probably look at it. I will share the link to it in the blog. Cristiano, I'm not sure if you want to address any question so far. And the link to the blog, meanwhile, I'll share it here.
All good.
So, okay. So once again, so thank you for attending. If you have, let's say, more questions related with this test quadrants, reach out to me. You reach out to me on either LinkedIn. You can find me at Sérgio Freire, or even on Twitter, and we can. If the link that I share there is not enough, I can try to explain a bit more. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of JiraCon.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, 5.